my shades because, well, it's just bright in here. Hey, I want to say hello and welcome to everybody that has watched us and is watching us on the Outkick channel. I think the YouTube channel should be up here in a second. Welcome to everybody. I hope you're having a absolutely fantastic day. A couple of things. Number one, we're going to get into the Baseball Hall of Fame. We've got the Todd father, former Major League Baseball home run champ, couple-time All-Star, the great Todd Frazier. Everybody in baseball loves Todd Frazier, and it's Wednesday. So A-Dubs, Allison Williams, is going to join us, and we're going to ask her, she lives in California, if you were the governor of California, what's the first thing you would do? We got a lot to get to. A lot of thanks going out yesterday, man. You all took our little deal on what's the right word? The party of decency and decorum, and exploded with it, and we want to thank you for that. All right, about last night. You know, I have this saying that college basketball delivers every single freaking night. And I'm telling you, it does. What other sport on a random Tuesday night is the number one team in the country playing? I'll get to that in a second. But last night in the Big Ten, Michigan and Illinois basically kind of sort of maybe playing for first place. Now, the game ended up 10th-ranked Michigan lost by one actually, at Illinois. Now, Illinois was playing without Kofi Cockburn, maybe the most dominant big guy in college basketball, and they were also playing without Andre Curbelo, who is a dynamic point guard, but they got the win. But here's the interesting thing. This doesn't happen very often, but it's the second game in a row that Michigan State has been on the foul line with a chance to tie the game. Second out of three, I'm sorry. Second loss in a row where they've had a chance to tie the game. In between was the Wisconsin game. Against Northwestern at home, Marcus Bingham Jr. had two shots to tie. He missed the first. This game, man, Malik Hall had two shots to tie. He missed the first. Tried to miss the second, but he made it, and the game was over. Illinois with a monster win. I'm telling you, last night, college hoops delivered, and it delivered big time. All right, second thing, Clemson at Duke. Now, I think Duke's getting better. Duke ends up winning 71-69, and they did what I told you to do. I mean, honest to God, get the ball to Paolo Banchero late. They did. They've jackassed around a little bit, getting it to different guys late. Wendell Moore Jr. got his shot blocked against Florida State. Yesterday, they went to Banchero, left block. He delivered. I mean, two great games. And the nightcap last night, and I'm going to get into Missouri-Auburn here in a minute, but the nightcap, well, I got to tell you, man, Arizona came in number 3. Tommy Lloyd's team is really good. Best start in about 6-7 years. UCLA, you know, they only have 2 losses. They're 14-2. But people feel like UCLA is off to a disappointing start, and they kind of forgot about them. They're number 7 in the country. And that's good for Mick Cronin because Mick Cronin, the head coach of UCLA, has those kind of high expectations, the kind of expectations UCLA used to have. Well, UCLA just absolutely annihilated, got in a stance, and defended Arizona to the point where Arizona made their first 4 threes and missed their next 11 because they got uncomfortable. And that's what you try to do as a defense. If you're watching college basketball, the number one thing, football, the number one thing you're trying to do is make the opponent uncomfortable. And that happened last night. All right, number 1, Auburn goes on the road to play a bad Missouri team. Now, if you saw my Twitter before the show, retweeted something that Clay Travis had tweeted, basically the last 35 seconds of the game. Shot goes in for Missouri. Missouri's down 1. Little over 35 seconds left in the game. The shot clock for Auburn is 30. Now, in college, it doesn't start. The ball goes through the net, under a minute to go, clock stops. So used to be you could walk around. It's called the Damon Bailey rule. He did this against Xavier back in the early 90s. Let the ball bounce, clock ran out. They changed the rule. So you can let the ball bounce, but the shot clock and the game clock both stop. So there's 5.3 seconds clock differential. Now, it's funny. Auburn came down, Missouri down 1, decided not to foul. They did not foul. They were going to play it out, hope to get the ball with 5 seconds, take it the length of the court. Here's where Auburn was really well coached. They handled the basketball and didn't settle for, a late three where a guy drops his hands. They drove it left baseline. So it wasn't going to be a long rebound. When you shoot a long jump shot, the rebound goes long. Now, this is a coaching thing. This is why I tell you Bruce Pearl's really smart. Most coaches jack around with it. Player jacks around with it, takes it. They're not going to foul. Dribbles, takes a three. Guess what? Boom. Long shot, long rebound. Defensive team gets it, 5 seconds. You can go down and back damn near with the type athletes that are in today's college basketball. It's a tough coaching decision. In fact, last night it happened in a game my wife and I were watching, and she asked me, would you foul? My answer is yes, particularly down 1. Why particularly down 1? Well, because no matter if he makes the 2 free throws, I'm going to have a shot to tie, and I would probably do it fairly quickly after trapping twice. Now, Cuonzo Martin didn't. Okay, he decides 5.5 seconds. But this is where coaching comes in, and I'm guarantee you nobody announcing the game knew this. Coaching comes in with telling your team at the end, don't take a long jump shot. And you saw what happened if you looked at my Twitter. Shot from about 8 feet, 8 to 12, somewhere in there, left baseline. Ball bounces up, ball's tipped around, ball's out of bounds, game over. You don't want that if you're Cuonzo Martin. You never want that. There are a lot of coaches, and this goes back to Jimmy V, in a tie game, they'll foul. Thank you, Lee. In a tie game, they'll foul because they want to make you make 2 free throws, and then I get the ball back. In fact, if I ever went back to coaching, I would do that more often than I wouldn't, and fans would lose their mind with me. But I would do it. All right, so I think big coaching blunder, gave his team no chance. Cuonzo Martin did, who I think is a terrific coach. Missouri's struggling. Didn't give his chance to win it. You got to believe in your team. And maybe he would say, I believed in my team to get a stop and get the ball down the floor. All right, fine. But man, oh man, this is where Bruce Pearl's coaching came in. And there isn't an announcer in the country other than Seth Greenberg that would get what I'm telling you. There's no way that whoever was announcing that game last night understood as soon as that guy was driving, Cuonzo Martin made the wrong decision. Then the Lakers and the Nets. Look, I don't know what's going on with the Nets other than they're just completely whacked out and Kevin Durant isn't there. But I do know this. LeBron James with 33. Anthony Davis is back. Reports of the Lakers' demise greatly exaggerated. Look, here's the deal. I know this can happen. It probably will happen. But the truth of the matter is you have to beat LeBron James 4 out of 7 times. You got to beat him 4 out of 7 times to beat him in the playoffs. You got to beat him 4 times in 2 weeks. Now, Frank Vogel's probably going to back off the numbers, probably back off the minutes, and that's fine. But the truth of the matter is you got to beat him 4 times in 2 weeks. Good luck with that, unless you're the Suns or unless you're Golden State. Good luck with that. That ain't going to be easy. Not if LeBron James is healthy. Not if Anthony Davis is healthy. Ain't gonna be easy. All right, let's talk some NFL. NFL, man, this coaching thing is wild. Let's get a full screen going right now so we can show you all the openings that are happening in the NFL. Obviously, yesterday, Sean Payton. Sean Payton is out. You see him. Look, here's the deal. You got the Broncos, the Vikings, the Dolphins, the Giants, the Texans, the Jaguars, the Raiders, and the Saints. Then you got the Bears who hired theirs. You got the Vikings, the Giants, and the Raiders, and the Steelers having GM openings. Look, Sean Payton leaving is interesting because his rights for the next couple of years, 3 years, I believe, will be owned by New Orleans. So let's say, for the sake of argument, go to the Cowboys. Going to have to be a trade. Going to have to be some type of trade somewhere because you're not just letting Sean Payton go. You're not. But anyway, so Sean Payton, 15 seasons in the league, 9 playoff appearances, 1 Super Bowl. A hell of a call in that Super Bowl, by the way. I mean, a hell of a call. Like, in that Super Bowl, Sean Payton went out and onside kick to start the second half. Hank Baskett, who came to the Colts, remember his wife, whatever her name was, Wilkerson? She had a show on like A&E. She was one of Hef's girls. Anyway, he was the husband of Kendra. Kendra Wilkerson, ball's in his hand, he loses it. Next thing you know, it takes a possession away from Peyton Manning. Sean Payton wins. A brilliant coaching move. It was a brilliant coaching move. Sean Payton's the hottest guy. There's a lot of names here, whether it's Jim Caldwell, you can name Matt Eberflus, the defensive coordinator of the Colts, Dan Quinn, who looks like he wants a second chance or is going to get a second chance. But I'm telling you right now, Sean Payton's the jewel, but you're going to have to trade for him. This is really interesting. I think what's going to happen is once one of these places hires somebody, then you're going to see dominoes fall. Boom, 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 boom. But I don't think it's going to be Sean Payton. He said he doesn't think he's coaching this year. He said he thinks he'd be good on TV, and he probably would. TV is like the easiest job in America. I mean, look, for a coach, you're used to standing up in front of your team. I remember when Urban Meyer went into TV, he asked me, he goes, how do you do it? I just try to teach the game like I would my team. I just try to tell my team or tell my listeners exactly what I would tell my team in a film session. Sean Payton will be good at it if that's what he wants to do. All right, let's go through some of the things. The first is Sean Payton obviously stepping down. That's monstrous. The Bears, this was actually pretty funny. David Kaplan, who is the voice of Chicago, came on my afternoon show, which, by the way, noon to 3 on 107.5 The Fan. A lot of angst going on right now. I'll get into that. But anyway, he told us that Ryan Poles, the assistant director of player personnel of the Kansas City Chiefs, is going to be the guy in Chicago. But he also asked me this. Think about this. He said, if you wanted Ryan Poles and you're in Chicago and you own a franchise that's worth over $3 billion. Now remember, you want this guy, Poles. How would you go about getting him from Kansas City to Chicago? My answer was, well, we get the private plane. We get the private plane. We fly him into Midway, closer to downtown. We get a limo, one of them big black stretch limos. The owner's there. We meet him. We come in. We do a little business on the way, get to know each other, and then have our interviews. You know what the McCaskies did? They flew him coach, maybe first class, certainly commercial, on United. There's video, I think it's George McCaskey, the kid, going in with his Bears mask, his Bears jacket, waiting at baggage claim for Ryan Poles to get picked up. It's beautiful. I think that deal is done. By all accounts, that deal is done. So Ryan Poles, which I would assume is an excellent pick, I guess, he's the new general manager. Also yesterday, in the Bears building, and I think it's happening today, in fact, I know it is, Jim Caldwell, the former Colts and Lions coach, is getting an interview. Dan Quinn is getting an interview. Word on the street, at least from Cappy, is that Dan Quinn's the guy they want to hire. Also in the mix is defensive coordinator of my beloved Colts, Matt Eberflus. Now, I'm very critical about Eberflus, but Eberflus, by all accounts, is a really, really good dude. Like, Eberflus and my wife's ex-husband, they all grew up together. So the Eberflusses out of Toledo are considered really good people. I hope he gets a job, partially because I want him out of Indy, but also because seems like a really good guy. All right, let's continue with the opening. So it's going to be Caldwell or Quinn. Fine. The Giants. the Giants want Dan Quinn. Now, here's why I think that's a perfect fit for the Giants. If you look at Joe Judge, I'm sure he's really good. I mean, you don't get elevated to the head coach position if you're not really good, but he wasn't. He kind of started behind. He didn't seem like a serious guy for some reason. He lasted 2 years. Shermer lasted 2 years. Now, he seemed like a serious guy. The guy before him, Ben McAfee, looked like the principal in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He had that stash. It just seemed goofy to me. Dan Quinn's a serious guy. Dan Quinn's taken a team to the Super Bowl. Dan Quinn has overhauled, I guess, the Dallas Cowboys defense. Dan Quinn seems to me to be the logical guy in New York. It feels like the Giants need an adult. You know, it's like that Supreme Court judge said about pornography years ago. I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. It's kind of the same thing here. It's like, what do you mean by the Giants need an adult? Well, I don't know. I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. Like, do they need an adult? Yes. What does that mean? You know what it means? It means somebody that is going to get up there in a press conference and make everybody in New York City that's a Giant fan believe that the Giants are going to be back in business. That's what it means. You know, it's like when Kentucky hired John Calipari. Excuse me. I get a throat. When Kentucky hired John Calipari and fired Billy Gillispie, Calipari came in there, and after his press conference, everybody that was and is a fan of the University of Kentucky believed that John Calipari, they needed him. He didn't need them. They needed him. They didn't need Billy Gillispie. Billy Gillispie was smaller than them. Calipari, bigger than them. It's the same thing here. It's the Giants. It's New York. You want somebody that has a persona, not exactly like Parcells, but you want them to believe you're the guy. You know what I mean? You're the guy. So I think Dan Quinn's a perfect fit. He won't be playing catch-up. Now, we'll see what happens, but the truth of the matter is they need an adult. Bears, I don't know what they need. Bears might need someone that can coach a quarterback. Bears haven't had a quarterback since Sid Luckman. Bears may need Jim Caldwell, kind of a quarterback guy. Bears may need Jim Caldwell, kind of an adult. I thought Jim Caldwell got screwed here in Indy. Took him to the Super Bowl. But again, Jim Caldwell followed Tony Dungy. You know what? People felt like Dungy was here, and all of a sudden Caldwell was here. He wasn't good enough. I said he was really good. I love dealing with Jim. Jim Caldwell is my second favorite coach in the NFL, or that has been a coach in the NFL. My first, I got three actually. Caldwell maybe fourth. My first is Urban. My second was Parcells. I've told you the story. Parcells used to come and get on a Schwinn Aerodyne. You know the Schwinn Aerodynes? They blew air on you while you were working out, old school, and he would smoke a cigarette. So he's working out in Coach Knight's. We got a little locker room downstairs. He's working out, and he's smoking a cigarette, and I'd sit there and just talk to him. Love that guy. Anybody that does that, I'm all in on you. But Jim Caldwell is like my third favorite. I think he's great. I think he's absolutely great. I think he's a good man. No, I think he's a great man. I think he's a hell of a football coach. He won in Detroit. You tell me who the hell ever wins in Detroit, will you please? Caldwell won in Detroit. Got screwed in Detroit too. On the other side, this is actually some good news for coaches. John Harbaugh, baby, is looking at getting an extension. See, I think NFL coaches, not NFL coaches, I think NFL fans and I think NFL GMs, owners are fools for letting guys go. Like, let's be honest. Sean Payton left for a couple of reasons. One, maybe just one reason. He ain't got no quarterback. He's $40 million over the cap. That's two reasons. You're going to tell me that Sean Payton, who doesn't need the job, been there a long time, 15 seasons, wants to actually go into an entire season with an injured, coming back, rehabbing Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill? You know what I'd do? If I was the owner of the Saints, I'd say, okay, I got to pay you, but you need to pay me Taysom Hill's salary. You're the one that made me give Taysom Hill $90 million. I know it's structured. I know. I get it. I know. Okay, I get it. I do. But the truth of the matter is, he, meaning Peyton, gave that kind of scratch to Taysom frickin' Hill. Look, I don't know my ass from third base, but I know this. I know this sure as I'm sitting here that Taysom Hill wasn't worth no $90 million. Now that I will tell you, that we can go to bank on. That you can bet your life savings. He ain't worth that. Not even a little. And don't at me about it, people, if you think he is, because he ain't. Hey, those of you on the YouTube chat, how are you? I'm not seeing you guys in terms of the actual chat, but I want to see you guys because you're awesome. Last thing, the Jaguars are going to interview Matt Eberflus. Now, Eberflus, who has a great reputation, it wouldn't piss off people here in Indianapolis if Eberflus left. He's interviewing at Jacksonville, which makes me think to myself, man, Eberflus is the only guy that has made Bortles, Minshew, and Lawrence look good. I mean, Eberflus with the Colts hasn't exactly been great. I mean, been all right. You know, they went 11-5 last year, 9-8 this year. I guess that's all right. But I got to tell you, if I don't know, if I'm Jacksonville, now I don't know how the guy interviews. I don't know how he doesn't interview. I don't know what he does, but I'm getting Byron Leftwich involved here. I got a young quarterback. I got a guy that played in Jacksonville. I got a guy that's been an offensive coordinator for the greatest of all time, Tom Brady, so he's not going to be afraid of quarterbacks. He's not going to be afraid of any type of, I don't know, he's not going to be afraid to coach greatness if, in fact, Trevor Lawrence has greatness in him. Look, we all hope Eberflus gets the job. We all pay attention to all the media. Oh, yeah, great coordinator. You got to understand, those of you that are outside of the Indy listening area, I piss off every little media guy. I did it yesterday. I piss them all off because they're so in pocket with the Eberflusses, the Ballards, the Reichs. Man, they're so in pocket. And all of a sudden now they're saying, well, you know, the Colts have holes. Really? And Eberflus is one of the holes. But I hope he gets a head coaching job, and I hope he does really, really well. But damn, if you couldn't stop Bortles, Minshew, or Lawrence this year they couldn't stop him. You got a problem. So the caravan is great. We're going to get you to a midweek roundup. We're going to have the Todd Father. I can't wait to talk to the Todd Father and Allison Williams today, two of my favorite people. If you don't know the Todd Father, his name is Todd Frazier. He won the Home Run Derby a few years ago. He's one of, if not the greatest youth athlete ever. I'll let him explain his greatness, because it's greatness. Love the guy. Love Allison Williams. When we come back, I got a midweek roundup, including my thoughts. Again, here's the deal. coaches, players, media members, don't do what I do. I fight with the media. Do what David Ortiz did. Kiss the media's ass. And guess what? Even though you were on a report saying you did the roids, you too shall get in the Hall of Fame. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about what the hell's going on in Louisville with Chris Mack. There's a Pelicans player that has not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, not 9, not 10, not 11, but 12. Count them, 12 misdemeanor charges. Anthony Davis is back. And, of course, I saw this, and I don't know what the hell people are thinking. P.K. Subban and his family were targeted with racial taunts. His brother was taunted on the ice. That's the second half hour. Tell your friends, let's go. Get on the YouTube chat. I'm talking to you YouTubers when we come back as well. Hey, welcome back. How are you? Nice to see you. Thanks to everybody on the YouTube chat. I better turn this down or else, somebody may swear, which is okay on this channel. Couple of things. Yesterday was an interesting day in the Hall of Fame, and I'm going to get into it more with Todd Frazier coming up around in an hour at 10:30. Todd, longtime and a Major League Baseball player, and arguably the most beloved player in the Major League, except by an idiot radio host in Pittsburgh, but who cares? But yesterday, David Ortiz was elected into the Hall of Fame. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Now, some guys that weren't include Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, Curt Schilling. David Ortiz was a first ballot Hall of Famer. David Ortiz is one of those guys that was named in a report way back in the early 2000s as having used steroids. Now, here's the deal. When you just look at things, David Ortiz played in his mid-20s. He played in the Homer Dome. Never hit more than 20 home runs in Minnesota. David Ortiz never hit more than 20 home runs in Minnesota. David Ortiz, all of a sudden, out of the blue, gets cut, gets picked up by Boston, and now he's hitting 50. Look up the name Brady Anderson, if you don't mind. Brady Anderson is, I don't know what to tell you, but Brady Anderson is the guy that really kind of made this happen. All of a sudden, Brady Anderson hit 50-some home runs. Look, if you just go by the numbers, David Ortiz is certainly a Hall of Famer. Over 500 home runs, but even more than any number. The most clutch player, according to at least the Boston Red Sox in their history. And man, when he was there was clutch after clutch after clutch moments, and David Ortiz delivered time after time after time. See, I'm not that big into numbers. A lot of people are really big into numbers. I'm really not. But you got to have a certain set of numbers. Over 500 generally gets you in. I get it. Okay. But there's no doubt in anybody in and around baseball that David Ortiz at least Well, I mean, he was named as a guy that used roids. Now, there is some discrepancy whether or not David Ortiz was cleared or not. Look, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. I don't know. But the fact that his name popped up in a report tells me there is no question that he did. That's what's my opinion. Doesn't mean I'm right. But when you don't hit any home runs or barely any home runs in the Homer Dome, and all of a sudden you get cut, you bulk up, next thing you know, you're banging out 50. In that era, I'm sorry, but you are. I don't care if David Ortiz goes into the Hall of Fame. But if you're going to vote for David Ortiz, how do you not vote for Clemens? How do you not vote for Bonds? How do you not vote for Schilling? Schilling's a different story. Schilling's story is simple. He went too far politically for voters that are always far left-leaning and half crazy. That's why Schilling isn't in. But man, look, if you want to keep them all out, keep them all out. But don't get selective because David Ortiz, a.k.a. Big Papi, is nice to the media. Just stop. That's all that is. Everybody's got an agenda. I got a text here. Journalism is dead. The majority of these guys, gals have agendas and stay on a design narrative. Sad. They have no idea how pathetic they look when defending themselves. I'm sorry, but that's true. It is. I mean, I got, at some point, I get crushed all the time by media. I don't care. I'll stand up to Zach Kiefer or any of these guys any day of the week. But that's what David Ortiz did. David Ortiz just kissed everybody's ass. The dude got shot in a casino. He ain't exactly an angel. I don't care the circumstances. Raise your hand if you got shot in a casino. Chris Mack. It's going to happen, I guess, at least reports are, later today. Chris Mack's the head basketball coach at Louisville, University of Louisville. Now, Louisville is a mess. Louisville's been a mess. Like, I'm a big fan of Rick Pitino. I'm not a big fan that Rick Pitino had strippers in the Billy Minardi Center. I don't know if Pitino knew or not. I know that the 2013 banner at Louisville came down. That's fine. That's cool. I don't care about banners coming down. But what I do care about is when guys say, hey, I know nothing about it. Literally, college coaches, and I'm being literal here, know the color of urine that their players have because now the trainer tells me, hey, he's dehydrated. There are signs in major college basketball locker rooms. I assume there are in football locker rooms and women's locker rooms and men's locker, all over in colleges, check your urine. But he didn't know. Fine, he didn't know. I don't care. But it was a big problem. They had to give back a ton of money. They had to give back a championship banner. So they clean house, including the athletic director, Tom Jurich. And next thing you know, they hire Chris Mack. Chris Mack seemed like the perfect hire. Full disclosure, I really like Chris Mack. I've known Chris Mack since he was a high school player in Cincinnati. Chris Mack was the head coach at Xavier. So they hire Chris Mack, flawless reputation, and Chris Mack goes into Louisville. Now, Chris Mack has a problem this summer. He's going to fire a well-respected guy named Dino Gaudio. Dino Gaudio is Chris Mack's longtime friend. He coached Chris Mack at Xavier. They go on vacations, all this. But this is how contentious this got. Chris Mack, in firing Dino Gaudio, had to wear a wire for Dino Gaudio's reaction to the firing. On the wire, Chris Mack catches his longtime friend telling Mack, you fire me, I'm going to the NCAA, I'm going to the administration with allegations of cheating. I know what this was all about, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, Chris Mack turns it over. The feds get involved, extortion. Next thing you know, Dino's on trial. Dino gets convicted. He doesn't go to jail, suspended sentence, fine, but Chris Mack also gets suspended by the school. It's a mess. Like, I've said this for years. Look, I have been made fun of in the Louisville media. I have been told, yelled at, screamed at Dan Schulman and I walking into the Yum Center. Students, F you, Dakich. I'm always right. I told them, this is a mess. Now they got another mess. Okay, you got another mess. So now, fast forward. So Chris Mack is coaching this year. They're now 11-9, which is unacceptable. Malik Williams, their captain, he came out in a press conference the other day when asked, hey, do you guys still listen to Mack? You know what his answer was? No comment. That ain't great. So now you've got a new athletic director, because the other athletic director that actually came at me when I told this city what a mess their program was, he came at me. I'm the bad guy. Long story short, he takes off. He's out of there. You got a new AD. You got an 11-9 team. You got a mess. You got a coach that apparently the players aren't listening to. Uninspired performances. So the coach going to be gone. It's that simple. Coach gonna be gone. Adios. Hasta la vista. To quote the great, not as great as Benetti, but the great Hawk Harrelson, he gone. And he's gonna be, and I'm sad about it because I like Chris. But I'm telling you, he walked into a shit pile. And it's a shit pile that I've told the media. It's a shit pile that I know. It's a shit pile that's been there for 5-10 years with Louisville. Louisville's always had a problem. Whether it's Patino 10 years ago sleeping and doing whatever he was doing in the hotel room, him getting extorted, not hotel room, restaurant. Louisville has been a effing mess. And all I do is get made fun of by the radio hosts and cussed at by the damn students at Louisville. One guy, I do this, where I go out on the court at ESPN, and I'm looking, and guys are flipping me off, and I'm like, hey, I'm number one. I go, hey. So they took this picture of me going, what? Dakich is yelling at students. Louisville, my ass. Chris Mack, you're too good for Louisville. You are. You're too good for Louisville. I hate to say it that way, but you're too good for Louisville. There's no reason for you to be there. Get your ass out of there. Get yourself somewhere where people are human beings, where there's not, a problem a day, and move on. You made millions. You beat Kentucky. Salute. And besides, I like you. And if I like you, you're good people. This will be the only place you hear this tape. You ready? There's an NBA player. His name is Jackson Hayes. Jackson Hayes' dad, Jonathan Hayes, was, I thought, a great football player. He was a tight end in Cincinnati. He was a tight end at Texas A&M. I thought Jonathan Hayes was terrific. His son is Jackson Hayes. Jackson Hayes played basketball on the junior varsity level, I was told by coaches in Cincinnati, in his junior year. Now think about that. He was skinny. He was Bambi-like. You know what I mean? So Jackson Hayes, then as a senior, Jackson Hayes kind of blows up. Not great. Like I went and spoke at a fundraiser at Oak Hills High School for a man named Mike Price, who I will get to later. They're like, Dan, I cannot believe that Jackson Hayes is a first-round draft choice. Well, Jackson Hayes was a first-round draft choice. He played 1 year at Texas. Wasn't great. It's a little bit what I talked about the other day, why Shaka Smart going to Marquette was really good. Jackson Hayes plays a year, becomes a first-round draft choice. I mean, I get the NBA. I get that you want talent, you want potential, you want young. I totally get it. Okay, Jackson Hayes fit the bill of all that. Production, not great. Young is bad. Nobody will ever talk about this. But Jackson Hayes ends up going to the NBA. Jackson Hayes is now 21 years old, and he was arrested after a confrontation with police in the early morning of July 28th. Now, he wasn't armed. He got argumentative with the police when he was told he couldn't go back in the house. He ignored requests from his girlfriend to stop talking, struggled with police. Body footage was released showing an officer pressing a knee into Hayes' neck and him saying, "I couldn't breathe." They had to use physical force. All right? Now, Jackson Hayes is free on a $25,000 a year bond. Jackson Hayes is playing. Jackson Hayes is also been charged with 12 counts. He's facing 12 charges, including domestic violence, battery, false imprisonment, trespassing, and vandalism related to this incident, and battery of a police officer and resisting arrest. Now, my best guess, Jackson Hayes is going to plead these down. There'll be some plead, maybe one, maybe two, I don't know. My also best guess is the body cam will come into question because, you know what, we'll see if it's too much force, all that kind of stuff. Fine, that's the world we live in, fine. The bigger problem is, man, by all accounts, Jackson Hayes, great dude. But here's the problem. And this happens so many times. You give a guy a lot of money. You give a guy a lot of notoriety. And as my father used to say, you give a young guy time. Time is horrible. I get into problems on Twitter because I'm bored, and I'm almost 60. Now, I got the brain of a 12-year-old, but I'm almost 60. I get into trouble because I'm bored. I can't imagine being 21 years old, having notoriety, good-looking guy, ton of money, and time. People say, well, you got to go get the money. Sure you do. It works out for a lot of guys. It does. But it also doesn't. And we don't ever want to hear about the guys like Jackson Hayes here. Sure, he's going to have money. Sure, hey, he may be set. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing with his money. I know this. 52 cents of every dollar, according to Isaiah Thomas, this is 10, 20 years ago, when he was heading up the NBA Players Association, 52%, 5-2 of every 100, 52 cents of every dollar goes away from you before you get the money. Agents, fees, taxes, all that kind of stuff. I worry about these things. I worry about these things for college basketball players. Look, doesn't mean that if he goes to college for 4 years, this isn't going to happen. It doesn't. But, man, we want to rush things so fast. And I go back to a conversation. It was actually Wild Card Weekend. We had big TVs in Oak Hill's gym. Huge banquet, great banquet. And I was the main speaker. And after guys like, what do you think of Jackson Hayes? I go, Dan, JV player. He was given a lot. Now, I don't know. But I hope and pray that things go well because he's really seemed like a nice kid. We'll see what happens. Anthony Davis is back. I already talked about it. AD back. He had 8 points last night. LeBron had 33. Do not discount the Lakers. I don't know what's going to happen with Frank Vogel. Who the hell knows? He'll be the scapegoat eventually. I mean, let's be honest. LeBron runs the franchise, which he probably should. And once he gets tired of Frank will be gone. But you know what Frank Vogel can say? I went from a manager at Kentucky for Rick Pitino to a world champion coach with the Los Angeles Lakers. And Frank's a really good dude. AD's back. Bottom line, you got to beat him 4 times in 2 weeks. This is a disturbing story. And I'm guessing there's going to be video of this. PK Subban is a really, really good NHL player. PK Subban's African-American. PK Subban's brother, Jordan, plays in the East Coast Hockey League. Chippy, East Coast Hockey League. We've all seen Slapshot. We know what the story is, right? Chippy. Well, in one particular Chippy incident, PK Subban's brother, Jordan, is accusing a guy named Jacob Panetta of taunting Jordan Subban by making monkey references. And I don't know. I hope, I assume there's video. We're going to see what the hell are people thinking. Like, I'm not even talking about what are people thinking doing it. I'm talking about what are people thinking even to think to do that. Do you understand what I'm saying? To do it is one thing. You go, what are you thinking? But even deeper than that is, where does that type of thought come into your brain? Look, I get it. You get mad at somebody, so you say whatever you want. I get that. I get it. But when you're going to all of a sudden, I don't know, according to the story, make monkey gestures. That's deep in your soul. That's deep in your cranium. What? You got to be better. I don't blame Subans for making a big deal about it. I hope they continue, and I hope the East Coast Hockey League investigates it. And you got to do what you got to do to Jacob Panetta. But who thinks like that? Who in their mind? Like, hey, look, we all say things we don't mean. And in this day and age, if you say something that you're angry about, if you're on the right side of the media, you're excused. See Howard Stern. If you're on the wrong side of the media, it's all the rest of us. I don't know, man. I don't know where that even comes into your brain. Please, somebody, anybody, we don't care. Explain this to me. You guys on the YouTube chat, explain that to me. Anyway, a lot going on. All right, we're moving the fades to right now. Yesterday, I think I had the worst fade ever. I gave you Texas TCU. I gave you TCU because my boy, Seth Greenberg, on television told me, hey, look, he didn't tell me, he was on TV and I was watching. He told me on through the TV, he said, hey, we should be talking about TCU. So I gave you TCU against Texas yesterday. TCU, listen to this, they were 13-3. Going into yesterday. They got beat by 23. They got beat by 3 touchdowns and a safety. Yikes. That's my worst beat yet. I did give you Michigan State, told you to take them. All right, today. Oklahoma at West Virginia. West Virginia is only -2. I watched West Virginia. West Virginia, ever since I left in 2002, as the head coach after about 8 days, I can't remember. West Virginia's been okay. They've been okay. Huggy gets them to play hard. Every once in a while, they have a good year. You know, they got to the Final Four here a few years ago in Indianapolis. That was good. But basically, if you want to know the truth, West Virginia is just okay. I watch Oklahoma, and I think to myself, good team, good coach, just like West Virginia. But frankly, West Virginia's going to out-tough this one, and they're going to win. They're going to win by more than 2. They may be up 2, get fouled, make a free throw, miss at the end, they win by 3. But that's a safe bet tonight. In fact, my bank account is dwindling. It's dwindling like my hair was dwindling back in the day. I don't like it. So I'm trying to build it up tonight, and that's the one that I'm going to use right there. West Virginia taking on Oklahoma at home. You guys that are on the YouTube chat, got about 140, 150 of you now. Go ahead, take it. They're not horrific fades, Nick Chaplin. They're damn good fades. But you know what? One of them went awry last night. I think we were 2-1 last night. I think we're going to be 3-0 today. Penn State at Indiana. This is a tough one. Penn State beat Indiana at Penn State. Now, you got to understand something about Penn State. You got to understand that Penn State, playing at Penn State, big arena, it's like a tomb. Now, I've never been in a tomb, and I like when people say that, places they've never been, but it's like a damn tomb. Nobody's there. It's like, and there used to be, I don't think there still is, there used to be some lady or some student, I don't even know, but it was a woman whose voice could split granite. It was unbelievable. It was incredible. And you would hear it on the broadcast, and you're like, stop. Penn State's okay. Penn State is okay. One thing I like about Indiana is they generally beat these teams. Now, I don't love this bet because I could see Penn State fighting till the end. I could see Penn State under Micah Shrewsbury really battling. But I think Indiana wins this by double digits. I think Indiana's pretty good. The one thing I'm going to be disappointed in the night, because I think it's going to happen, if Mike Woodson doesn't change his starting lineup. Indiana has started out bad. They've got 3 transfer kids, actually, in there. Miller Kopp from Northwestern, Xavier Johnson, who's played much better, coming in from Pittsburgh, and then kid named Stewart, who played for his dad, I think at East Tennessee State. He's a shooter. He's a nice player, but they have struggled to start games. Look, you don't want in Assembly Hall struggle to start games. It's Wednesday night. It's a later game. I've been in Assembly Hall in these games. It ain't going to be great. It ain't. It'll be all right. It'll be a nice atmosphere, but it ain't going to be great. The balconies won't be full. The upper corners down low won't be full. It's going to be a bit of a dull environment. Indiana needs to get off to a good start. I think they cover this 8.5, but this one ain't going to be easy. Lastly, and this goes out to my girl, Lauren O'Connor. Lauren, the biggest, maybe the only Seton Hall fan that I know. She went to Seton Hall. She's Seton Hall through and through. She loves the New England Patriots. If Seton Hall wins tonight, she maybe dancing around her apartment. Not quite like she did when Tom Brady tied it up, but certainly enough to make a racket. But I got to tell you, Marquette's my squad. I'm a big Marquette fan. I am. I'm a huge Marquette fan. Like, I really like Shaka Smart. I've said for years, if you were going to hire one of two, if you had to hire a basketball coach and you had a lot of money, I would hire either Brad Stevens or Shaka Smart. Now, Brad went to the Celtics. Now he's the general manager, vice president, or president, whatever he is. Shaka went to Texas. He had Jackson Hayes. It didn't work out great. Didn't work out terrible. Just didn't work out great. They got beat by, Abilene Christian last year in the tournament. He got out of there, headed back home. He's from the Milwaukee area, and now he's doing a great job at Marquette. They've won 6 in a row. Seton Hall, man, I think I speak for Lauren and every Seton Hall fan when I say their game against St. John's was horse shit. I hate to swear, although I do, but that was as awful a performance at home that I've seen this entire year. St. John's not bad. Like, don't get me wrong. St. John's, is fine. But the truth of the matter is, man, Seton Hall had a chance. I expect them to bounce back. It's always interesting. Do you bet on the team that's won 6 in a row and maybe is comfortable, or do you bet on the team that just lost and is really good? I'm going to take Marquette, but I'm going to take the points. I wouldn't take this without the points. Points may drop later on today. They may. I don't know. But the truth of the matter is, I'll take the points. Twice I've seen Seton Hall and they've been awful. Once I've seen Seton Hall and they're pretty good. But look, I wouldn't put too much stock in the last 2 bets. The first bet, I'm taking West Virginia. I'm giving 2 points to Oklahoma. I think West Virginia, that guy's going to shoot that musket and all that. Yeah. Hey, Dan, I didn't know you were the head coach at West Virginia. What do you want me to tell you? I was for about, a week. And then the president of West Virginia stood up and said, hey, we're going to destroy you and your family. Well, my then wife stood up and said, what do you mean by that? Long story short, we hightailed out of there, and it was really the first national story that I was involved in, and everybody got it wrong, which is the start of my demise, disliking the media. All right, when we come back, we got A-Dubs, we got Allison Williams. Let me tell you the questions, and I think a lot of you would have these kind of questions as well. Let me get them here on the rundown. Allison Williams, we're going to talk about foots. We're going to talk about her thoughts, because she is very smart, and I like talking to smart people. Her thoughts on Joe Biden calling Peter Doocy a dumb son of a bitch, college players being paid, and would she ever run for office? I like it. We're going to talk to A-Dubs when we come back. Tell your friends, we got to get this thing going. We got to get it bigger. We got to get it bolder. This is the best show you're ever going to see. Let's go. We're on Outkick. Stay with us. Back in 2 minutes. Oh man, it's Wednesday. That means Allison Williams. That's right. The
Woohoo!
bravest, smartest woman in all of media. Hey, what the Daily Mail, what are we doing?
The Daily Wire, that's a very different
Wire.
company. How
I
early
know
is
it
it out there?
is.
Come on, I have that excuse here in California. You don't in Indiana. We're getting there, man. It's the ball is starting to roll. We got it'll be cool. It's gonna be like probably three, potentially four-part, like documentary style, kind of diving into the division that's taking place in sports these days and the politicalization of our sports and the games that we love and why the hell we're in this place now. I'm excited. It's so different for me. So it's like, it's been
Yeah,
a good learning process. I'm used to like, games, quick turnover, telling
right.
other people's stories. This is flexing some different muscles, but I think it'll be really cool and probably stir some shit up.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what we need to do. Let's stir some shit. All right, let's go to the playoffs. Sunday, great. Bengals, Chiefs. A-dubs, what are you seeing here?
Oh my gosh. I just hope the games this weekend are like half as good
It was
as
unbelievable,
last weekend. It
right?
was freaking unbelievable. I like each game, like, wow, like that'll be the best game of the weekend. And then it just kept getting better and better and better. I'm going Chiefs though. I don't
Me too.
know. I just like the Mahomes magic. They're home. Like they're just special, man. They find a way. I love Joe Burrow and I'm super stoked for the success he's had in the city of Cincinnati, but I'm going Chiefs.
When you were working at ESPN, you covered Burrow, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
He's
in his
a,
1 year at LSU, it's crazy, man. Like you knew he was talented, but what he was able to do in that system in that 1 year, and the way he exploded onto the scene, and obviously made himself a ton of money and opened up a lot of scouts' eyes. I still didn't think like it would translate this quickly to the NFL. I mean, I didn't know, right? Like I don't think any of us knew. It was such a small sample size. He's special. He's got it, but like Urban, the Ohio State guys, they all said that too. Like they knew he was really, really a great quarterback. But I just didn't think we had seen enough to really project kind of what he would do at the next level. He's been phenomenal.
one thing I like about him, and this is weird. I never thought to do this in college, and I'm so pissed that I did. And I never smoked a cigar in the locker room.
It's such a badass move, isn't it?
Right? I never like I always try to equate what would Coach Knight have done if after beating Purdue I just lit up a stogie. And
What do you
I
think he would
think
have done?
I think he would have laughed at first, and held it against me for the next time we lost. Hey, Dakich, you gonna light a stogie here? Hey,
Yeah,
hey,
right.
yeah, I think that's what he would have done. If my players would have done it, depending on the player, I'd have laughed my ass off and lit one up with him. Like I was a prick and all that stuff, but I would have been like, Stace, man, let's go. I'm in. We beat Toledo. I think
Light
he
him
would have
up.
light him up. I don't care. Like I think
It's such a boss move.
it is.
Yeah, I can't do the cigar thing. But sometimes I wish I could because like I had a friend in Fort Lauderdale, a good friend of mine, and she loved stogies. Like she legitimately loved to smoke a cigar, and she looked like such a badass bee when she'd be smoking that cigar with the boys. I'm like, you're so much cooler. I'd be like, oh, yeah, like coughing up a lung. But they up your cool factor for sure, and I could use every bit of that help I can get.
This is a Dakich family tradition. On when we go to Naples now all of a sudden for Lee's like we're going to Florida, so we go to Naples, and then we end up going to this place called Burn, which is a cigar bar, like on the 23rd or the 24th of December. And I mean, Lee walks in and she marches right back to the cigar room. I walk in, march right back. We get there early enough because we're old, so we get there like for the blue plate special at the cigar bar, right? And she's sitting there with a stogie, glass of wine. I'm sitting there, my son, and everybody's sitting there with stogie. We think we're bad. We think we're in the mafia. We're badass
You
people.
feel like it. It's awesome. There was a great
Yeah.
cigar bar in Fort Lauderdale too that we would go hang out in. But the only problem is when you leave, because then
The
you
only problem is
smell
the next morning.
so bad. Yeah, the next morning, and then just the smell. Like you stink like a cigar bar for at least 2 showers afterwards.
Right. And at the end of the day, I would imagine let me tell you something. You win a national champion, you can smoke whatever the hell you want. I don't care.
I mean, Alabama does it when they beat Tennessee. Like that's their whole tradition. I mean,
I was there, and I brought cigars. And typical me, Lee and I were there. I forgot to bring them. My daughter, and everybody starts lighting up in the place with about 2 minutes to go. It's fogging up. Awesome. I want to go every year. All right. So you got the Chiefs. I do too. 49ers. Let me ask you a question because I'm asking this today. Let me go back to the Chiefs game. If you and I were just sitting around and I said, hey, all right, let's bet $100. I'm going to take the Chiefs. You got the Bengals. Without Vegas involved, how many points would you need to feel comfortable taking the Bengals against the Chiefs?
9.5.
Is that right? Wow. Yeah, I mean, you could say 1,000, right? But yeah. 9.5. I was going to say, I was going to say at least 7.5.
Yeah, right in there.
2 scores. Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, 49ers, Rams. What are you thinking?
Oh man, I don't know on this one. I go back and forth. I think I'm going to go Rams just because they were kind of my team in the beginning, and I'm like, this is a total sentimental. This has nothing to do with football. I think I'm just going to go Rams again. Like they're at home. Matthew Stafford, I'm pulling for after the years he suffered through in Detroit. And yeah, I think I'm going Rams. Oh, I don't like it, but I do. I think I'm going. And then again, it's like, how crazy would that be? Back-to-back years. You've got the team hosting the Super Bowl in it, potentially win it. I'm going Rams.
How many points, if I gave you the 49ers and I had the Rams, how many points would you need to make that a fair bet?
I mean, I think it's going to be a 1-score game. I really do.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
I would not bet that game. I don't bet, period, but I would not bet that game.
I bet on what kind of shoes my wife's going to wear in the morning, but that's just me. All right. Yesterday, or 2 days ago, Joe Biden called Peter Ducey of Fox News, White House correspondent for Fox, a dumb SOB. Now, I went nuts yesterday, and it went a little viral that I said, look, I don't care, but you're supposed to be the party of decency and decorum, and I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? And have you ever been called a name as a reporter?
Oh, to my face?
Or that you heard of later? Like, I don't think he did it. He did it on a mic.
Right. As they were all leaving.
Yeah.
Not that I can think of off the top of my head, but give me a minute on that one because I'm sure I know I have. I just probably can't remember. I don't know of it. So my thing on that though, Dan, it's like when you're Joe Biden's age, aren't you allowed to say whatever you want?
Oh man, at my age, I feel like it.
like, isn't that the perk of being like 105? Is you could just say what you want, you want. You can like check out ladies who are 50 years younger than you, and just like be that dirty, rude old man.
Start sniffing.
Yeah, like I mean, it was totally inappropriate, and I get it. And then you see just the double standard of, when Trump said it versus him and how it's covered and handled and thought of, which cracks me up. But I mean, I'm like, you're 80 plus years old. Like, say what you want, dude. I don't care. I mean, that's the rite of passage you get when you get to be 80, president or not. I mean, obviously.
What do you think of the double standard? What Trump was old. I mean, he's not. What do you think of the double standard? And why do you think there is a double standard?
Because it is the world we have created that we now live in. I mean, everything is painted through the lens with which we want people to see it. It's just exhausting. Like there's no, if people can't even see it, like there's no self-awareness anymore. It's insane. And then the way that like things live kind of in infamy on Twitter once you go and delete an old tweet, like people can pull it up and be like, this is the exact same thing. And this is the reaction you had. The only difference is who said it. So the double standard now across politics, and I just think in the world in general, has gotten completely out of hand. Like nobody can remove their own biases anymore. And I know I actively have to try to remove mine and try and listen to what I would say would be like counter opinions to the ones I hold, because they aren't always readily available with what I regularly consume. And it's not easy because everybody has a freaking agenda and everybody's pushing it no matter what you're watching. But it's ridiculous. And at least like at least acknowledge that you're treating it differently,
Right.
you know, like
Right.
don't act like it's different because anything is different than who the president is, because that's all it boils down to. Same language, same situation, like, come on. And you're right, when you run on like, we're going to restore civility and decency and treat people with respect and no mean tweets, but then you know, call a reporter an SOB and of a press conference, like, you've set yourself up for the criticism you're going to take for that.
To your point, I've said I don't care. You know, I've called people much worse, and I've been called much worse. I don't care that you say that, but don't run out there and say, well, this is what I'm going to fire anybody that degrades a colleague. And I guess you can mince words and say that the reporter isn't a colleague, but we all knew what he meant.
You work together.
Like, I mean, I don't care whether you call somebody a dumb SOB. I don't care what anybody calls anybody. Just don't be a fraud about it. Just live up.
Don't act like you're above that if you're going to go there, right? Like, yes, I'm with you on that front.
See, I'm the opposite of Michelle Obama. When they go low, I go.
You go lower.
Yeah, oh, hell yeah.
That's why you're way more entertaining to listen to on a regular basis.
I don't know about that, but I mean, I sit there and I'm like, well, we go higher, really? Oh, nobody does. Nobody goes higher. Like, nobody goes particularly when they strike a nerve. You know what I mean? When you strike a nerve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Would you ever run for office? Would anything like that appeal to you?
I don't think so. Funny story. When I was in elementary school, and it was, I don't know what year it was. If it was, it's probably one of the Bush elections, first Bush. I wrote that I was going to be the first female president. That was my goal. That obviously was a very, 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 very long time ago. And I just don't think I have it.
Still got a shot.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't think I would. Maybe like a school board I could see in the future, just having a kid and seeing how messed up that system's become. Maybe something like that, but like a mayor, I don't know. I give you a lot of credit for saying like that's something you would get into. I don't know if I have the cojones for it. I feel like it gets so ugly once you get in it, and it just ruins you as a person. So I'd rather like really get behind people that are up for that fight. I don't know if I have it in me.
Yeah, I don't know that I do either, you know, and I got people wanting me to explore it. I'm like, man, you know what? I got a pretty good life.
Right.
I mean, and I get
it's a sacrifice that for the lower level positions, you know, I mean, if you're not going to be a career politician, like that's a lot of sacrifice. There's not a lot of reward. And then honestly, like how much can you influence? I don't know. Like, are you better off impacting your community in other ways through philanthropy and volunteering and stuff and even, you know, advocating? I just don't know how much. I mean, we're seeing obviously that there is a good amount of influence that local politicians have. I don't know if it's the best way to like maximize your time and efforts.
It's funny you say that, because I've talked to guys that are in coaching and they're like, man, I like the fact as a coach, you influence so many lives. I got to tell you, in this job, between tobacco and between bikes for kids and the different things, I couldn't have a better platform, at least locally, to impact people's lives. You know, the thing that I like most is when someone comes up to me and says, hey, Dan, you talking about, you know, chewing tobacco got me to stop, that kind of thing. And that to me,
you could have saved that person's life.
That, you know, and I know, because I did stop after 30 years or whatever. And I was afraid to tell my story. I didn't want people to know. I was ashamed. And I was ashamed to say that I had real depression, you know, and I had to get on meds. So, but I think the ability to impact, given this platform, may be more substantial than the ability to go argue in front of a freaking board of guys that hate me because I'm not their party. I don't know. It's interesting. I think it's fascinating. I think that,
especially in this time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was considered such like a public servant thing to do. It isn't as much anymore. And I think, you know, the places that are really seeing the impact that local politicians have are really pushing for some changes and stuff. So I don't know. Who knows what the future holds?
You'd be good though.
You'd be
good because you're smart. Like, I'm bad on Twitter because people twist things and kill me, and I'm not smart enough to come back on people.
It's not you, it's Twitter. There's not enough like capacity for an intellectual debate on Twitter. Twitter's the worst. Hate it.
I agree. Let me go this route with you. I want to go hot takes. Okay? Just hot takes. And I don't know if this is a hot take, but I'm a fan of Jimmy G. I am. I look at people as would I follow them? Like I would follow you. There's a lot of people that I wouldn't follow, but I look at Jimmy G and I'm like, yeah, I know he's flawed. I know he's going to throw a pick six coming up here probably in this game, but I'm a fan of Jimmy G. Where do you think Jimmy G is going to be in 5 years?
I think he could very well be with the 49ers or,
Do you?
yeah, absolutely. I think he's that, or he is the highest paid male model of all time.
Right. He is a good looking dude.
He's so good looking. But here's the thing. He's like a crazy good model. So I have friends who work for Travis Matthew, who he is a model for. And he said that every single person, marketing, photographer, like artistic directors, everybody across the board that works on the campaign with Jimmy G say he is the absolute best model they've ever had.
Well, how so?
That was my question. It's the way he photographs. He's like a complete natural at it. Everything just comes easy to him. He's easy to work with. His photographs are better than like anything they've ever shot. Like he's just the perfect looking male model. Yeah. So either way, he's gonna be making some money. But yeah, I think he's totally got some years left in him still.
I hope so, because I know they tried to get Trey Lance in there, and obviously his contract, he has one more year on his contract and he's vulnerable and all that stuff. But I don't know, man. I just kind of like the guy, and he is a good-looking dude. I ain't afraid to say it. He is.
And like, if he gets him to the Super Bowl, I mean, how many years does that buy you, right? That's got to get to
right.
4.
You know what, though? The one thing about him, when he went to the Super Bowl, he and Jared Goff, I think, when they didn't win, like people ripped them, and I'm thinking there's like 30 other guys that would die to be in that position. I don't know. I think we're unfair to them. I think those of us that are incredibly handsome, I think the media treats us unfair. I just do. It's just the way.
I know you live it every day.
Every day with all of this. Hey, Tom Brady will play next year. Let me ask you, let me go another. If you were Giselle, if you were Tom Brady's wife or you were his daughter, and you know, what would you say to Tom Brady? Would you be
Walk away?
Yeah.
Walk away. You don't get this time back.
Yeah.
Okay, so I could very well see him sitting on a beach in Brazil with Giselle and his family. I mean, like, yeah, this doesn't suck either. To me, there's like two types of people, and I don't know which one Tom necessarily is, but there's the ones that have to kind of have the farewell tour and announce their retirement prior to their last season. And then there's the ones that just are like, nope, this is it. I'm done. I don't need that. I have a feeling Tom is the latter. But then when he hints at it, it makes me think it's like a distraction and a diversion, right? So I could very well see him walking away. I think he'll honestly kind of assess like where Tampa's at next year, roster wise, and what moves and changes they make, and a realistic chance. Like, how important is it to go out on top? I don't think it is when you've won as many as him. It does nothing for his legacy. He's already cemented himself as probably the greatest quarterback of all time. You've got young kids, like you want that quality of life. You have some good years in front of you still. What do you gain by one more year? I don't know. I mean, obviously there's like the money, and if he could win another championship and stuff, but he's got all that. So I wouldn't be shocked if he walks away. But it's hard to imagine the game without him, isn't it?
It is. That's another one of us in the club of incredibly handsome people. I mean, it's one of those
quarterbacks. Somebody needs to do a study on that. Like, why are quarterbacks always good looking? There are very few ugly quarterbacks.
I agree.
Any level.
I agree. Totally agree. That's why I was never a quarterback. But anyway, but A-Dubs, I think this. I think kind of the same thing. Now it's different because Brady has so many championships and Rodgers has the one, and but people forget, like, Aaron Rodgers is 39 years old. Tom Brady has made it. Would you agree with this? Tom Brady at his age has made us not even ask if Aaron Rodgers is going to retire at his age, when it used to be nobody played to Aaron Rodgers' age. Does that make sense?
Yeah, if you made it to 40, you were like a unicorn. Like Drew Brees, it was like, oh my God. Yes, I think the focus is on when Brady's going to retire, and so Rodgers we don't look at as much because he's a few years younger.
Yeah.
I mean, because
but he's old.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, for a quarterback, absolutely. Yeah. But they're both playing at such high levels right now. And you're right. I think Brady has changed kind of the way we look at aging quarterbacks, because before it was like, you're going to see a decline. Like, There's going to be, maybe they can get out there, but they're not going to be what they used to be. And the arm isn't the same and blah, blah, blah. And he's shattered all of that. So now it's like, if they think they can play, if they want to play, let them play. I don't know if Rodgers will be interesting. I mean, he's such a wild card. Like, we'll see kind of what he decides and where he ends up and stuff. Very, very interesting situation with him.
It is, because it's not about retiring with Rodgers. It's not. It's about, where are you playing? Are you going to stay there? When are you going to tell us? In Indianapolis, everybody, well, he's friends with McAfee. McAfee lives literally the next street over from me. We live in Indy.
He could do the show in person.
Right.
That's why you would want to play there.
Pat's got a studio,
they've got a dome
on the compound. Yeah. You are a genius. And
clearly,
this has been poo-pooed by people. Week or so ago, you were on the show, and I asked you, I said, what position is the second most important? You, after quarterback, you said kicker, and I'm watching Evan McPherson just lose his mind for 2 weeks. I'm watching all these games be decided. Now, nobody wants to give you any credit. Wow, it's the edge rusher. I'm like, okay. But A-Dubs, you are a genius.
What I tell you. I
did.
tried to tell you guys, 3 and 4 came down to game-winning field goals last weekend. I'm telling you, you got to have a Robbie Gould on your team that can go out there and have the leg and the cojones to just drill it on the road from 37, 47 yards out. No problem element. Make the field goal. I'm going to send you, onto the championship round. And I mean, it was crazy, but it's like, you forget about, I'm telling you, that's the one thing I learned from my years and years of covering college football is people forget about special teams. People forget about special teams all the time. It's the third phase. I mean, it impacts the game in huge ways that people don't pay attention to. And we saw it in a prime example this past weekend. So thank you for giving me my moment in the sun, my moment of glory, to like brag and celebrate. When the blind squirrel finds a nut, it's pretty exciting.
Hey, what's here? Oh, wait. All right. But seriously, hey, I'm watching the first round, and I'm watching this rookie, Evan McPherson, who I could not have picked. I wouldn't have known Evan McPherson from Evan, whoever, I don't know. But all I know is this dude's booting him from 50, 52, 48. I mean, like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then he did it last week for the win, and he's a rookie. And then I hear Joe Burrow talk about him like he's freaking Willie Moscone playing pool for $10,000. He's the coolest. You're a genius. We bow to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Yeah,
listen to me.
We do.
I know what's up.
Gambling is now legal in 15 states, including Indianapolis. Online, I can sit here on my phone and gamble. How much impact, because the ratings are through the roof with NFL football, do you think that online legal gambling, now that it's no longer just in Vegas, has impact ratings for NFL football and other sports?
100%.
And so, how much? How much you think?
I mean, I think it's, if you see that much of a change and nothing else has changed dramatically across the sport, like there's been no major rule changes, you haven't had any huge impactful change to the game, what else is it? And I think it's got to be gambling. I would say probably 80-90% of the increase is from gambling. It gives people a reason to watch. You can follow and like care a little bit about your team. How much are you? It's like fantasy football. I mean, that completely changed the way people watch the game. It created fans out of people who were not fans, who had no rooting interest, who didn't have a local team, who didn't grow up supporting a team. And now they're rooting and they're watching multiple games. So before, you watched your team, maybe a couple in your division, and like the Sunday night, Monday night game, right? But now people are watching multiple games in the 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock time slot because they're watching individual players to see what their fantasy team does. It's the same thing with gambling. It gives people an invested interest in a team or a game that maybe they otherwise would gloss over, wouldn't really care. They'll just catch the highlights at the end, check the score, be done. Yes, I think it's had a huge impact on the game. And I think it's hard to argue otherwise because it's just not quite explainable. If you don't, I mean, like the amount of time people and then it's money, right? So like when you add that financial component, it's not just a rooting interest, like you're financially invested in it. It totally changes things.
You know, it's funny. The first weekend everybody said was so dull, right? Well, my Lee's son, Jared, you know, he was here and I'm like, you know, we're going to watch football together and we got all the snacks and all that stuff. and he has a DraftKings account. So he's like, "Hey, what do you want to do?" I go, "All right, let's bet some overs." I didn't even know the games were bad. Like everybody was writing how the first week the games were bad. I'm like, no, they weren't. Not if you were betting overs. They
Right.
were great. You're sitting there, you lost some,
Playing
you
the
won some.
spread.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just,
Mm-hmm.
I
Well, it's
I
just like
get
in
it.
college, like, at the end, there would always be a little bit of a reference, like, if you were
Oh
listening
yeah,
before you could be more obvious with it now, like, hey, this field goal is really interesting to
right.
some people at home right now because, yeah, it's a 21-point game, but the over, was 22, whatever. And it's the difference between a win and a loss for a lot of people. So 100%, it changes the way you watch the game.
ESPN changed because
Mm-hmm.
it went from Brent Musburger saying, my friends in the desert, and everybody went,
Right.
oh. We opened, Bart was our producer 2 years ago, last year. I don't know, 2 years ago when COVID first hit. And we're at Penn State, and I think it was Penn State, Michigan State. And Michigan State was like number, 7 in the country, and Penn State was unranked, but they were favorites. And we came on camera, Dave Fleming and I, talking about the spread. We literally came
and
on.
it changed quick.
Yeah,
Like it was a matter of a few years.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It was taboo to talk about. You had to, like you said, you had to couch it, right?
Right.
Well, my friends in the desert know this last possession, even though it's a 20, that kind of thing.
Well, isn't that why Musburg, when he came on the air, that's how he started saying that you are looking live, because he wanted people to know that was the current scene, weather conditions, everything. If you were placing last minute bets, he wanted you to be able to know that you were in fact looking live at the stadium at what was going on in that moment. Yeah, it's completely, and then, like SVP's show with his bad beats, you never would have seen that.
That popularized it because people look to that. I mean, you look on Twitter, you look on anything, people are always sending, hey, this is a bad beat. People send it to me all the time. This is a bad beat. Can you talk about it on your show? No question. No question. And you're right. It happened fast. All right.
It couldn't hold back the tide. It was coming. So
no, you couldn't. No, and you're dumb too.
Yeah.
Like, whether it's FanDuel or whatever, you do it. All right. I'm going to talk to you next week, but right now it's Wednesday. Who is your Super Bowl champ? Based on this past weekend, who do you like to not only win this weekend, obviously, but win the Super Bowl? Who would be the favorite in your mind?
Kansas City.
Yeah.
Kansas City. Yeah.
That's, that's what you got to go there and you got to beat them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I agree.
And then whoever, what's up?
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Breaking news, let's see here. The Vikings have hired Vice President of the Browns, a football operation, Quasi Adolfo Mensa, as their general manager. How about all the jobs open in the NFL? Man.
It's insanity. I don't know how, like, Schefter and those guys that have to follow and keep track of. I'm like, just let me know when the dust is settled and where everybody's at.
That's what I do. So we got a defensive coordinator here in Indy, and they're like, can you give us an update on Eberflus? I'm like, yeah, he's interviewing all over the place. We'll let you know.
It's insane.
I mean, it's insane. You're the best. Thank you for the time. I know it's early on the West Coast, but this is the most fun I have all week. Thank you.
Me too. Highlight of my week. Good to see you,
Allison. Good seeing you too. That's Allison Williams. I can't wait till I think it's going to be great. The Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro's spot. All right, we come back. It's the Todd father, Todd Frazier. He's going to join us live from Jersey. Nobody's more Jersey than the Todd father. We're going to talk to Todd about what's going on with Major League Baseball, including the Hall of Fame. Also, I've got 5 people that I think should be in the Hall of Fame but aren't, and they're different than what you may think. It's not only baseball. All right, we'll come back. Hey, he is arguably the funniest human being to text with during the college basketball season. And you say, well, how is this possible? It's the Todd father, ladies and gentlemen, the great Todd Frazier. Big boy, what are you doing now? You just were the man of the year by USA Baseball. You played in the Olympics. You were a stud in the Olympics. You've won the home run derby. Don't worry about it. No, we're good. Just you can whatever. We're good. What are you doing? We're good.
Wrestle, we throw each other around and do that stuff, and just being dad, man. That's it.
You shop at Lenny's?
Yeah, baby. The meat market in Silverton, New Jersey, baby. They help me out all the time. Get my chicken cutlets, get my get my sausages, anything I need over there. One of the best in Tom's River, Silverton Market, man. Let's go.
What's the motto of Lenny?
Well, I have to show you on the back if you guys can see.
Eat my sausage.
Yes, some of the best sausages around, baby. Watch out.
Hey, all right. So you see what's going on in Major League Baseball. Let me ask you, is pressure mounting in your world? I mean, labor talks, we got Major League and the PA, they're moving along in a snow pay. Here's what I say. I don't want to hear about no, what is it, Punxsutawney Phil, groundhog. I need to know when pitchers or catchers. Is pressure starting to mount on both sides to get this thing done?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think the biggest thing right now, they didn't have any meetings for 40-something days, I think it was. I think that was the biggest thing. I just don't understand how we can go that long without talking. Major League Baseball is killing us right now, man. We got to figure some stuff out, that not only, help, it just got to help the game out. And I think the problem is it's like negotiating a contract for myself. You know, it is everybody nickels and dimes. Say, the 1 year when I was, trying for arbitration, I thought I was worth a certain amount. They went real low. I went real high. And then eventually 2 months later, you meet in the middle. So why not, get rid of the bullshit and, start in the middle area somewhere and figure it out so we can get going. You see what football's doing, how dominant a sport it is. It's only hurting baseball right now. We really need to start figuring this out because it is America's pastime, but we're losing some fans. And I think people, Major League Baseball needs to understand that.
Is 5-year free agency a big hang-up?
I think it's a really big hang-up. I think, if I think back on my career, it kind of hurt me a little bit because my 5th year was probably my most dominant year. And then the next year I had an okay year, but at the end of the day, it's a big one. And for me, in my opinion, I think that's a really big one for these young players. After 3 years, I mean, if you don't think they're good enough then to get a big contract, we got another thing coming.
Yeah. Are you the greatest youth athlete in the history of the United States?
You're not kidding, bro.
I know.
The accolades are unbelievable. I could tell you about them, but I don't know if we have enough time.
Did you tell Jeter when you stood out there as a Toms River world champion? Did you tell Jeter, hey, pal, I'm coming for your job? What'd you tell him? Hey, this is bullshit. I should be out here. Come on.
Honestly, I didn't know what to say. I just said, hey, man, congrats. And this is so cool to be out here. And he said, yeah, congratulations to you too. And, did I think I'd be out there one day? I hoped and wished and prayed, but, to be at Yankee Stadium there, to play against him and for his last All-Star game, to be in it. And we took that picture again. Then it was kind of funny. It was just surreal, to be honest with you. When he retired, his last All-Star game was my first. It was awesome.
Todd was out there as a member. Well, he was a stud in the Little League World Series with Toms River. They won it. That's after he probably averaged 32 rebounds and 28 points in a bitty basketball league and probably scored 17 touchdowns.
Listen. Let me tell you real quick.
Please.
I hold the record at my high school: 27 rebounds, one game with 26 points. Nobody's ever going to top that. The
Who are you
mound round the
playing?
rebound, baby.
Who are you playing, Round Mound?
I played against. Hey, listen, I played against J.R. Smith back in the day.
You did. That's right.
Oh, remember that? I told you about that one.
Yeah. How many did he get against you?
About 56, I think it was the end of that game. I got him to the McDonald's All-American game that game for sure, single-handedly.
You just pushed him along. Hey, Ortiz gets in. There's a lot of people talking. Last night, Ortiz, Big Papi, the only one, 78% of the votes. He barely makes it in. Should Ortiz have been a first ballot guy?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely do. He was, especially the way he came up. Minnesota, he was pretty average at best. And then he took off. And, the years he had, I'm a big believer. We're talking Hall of Fame, big believer about how you do in the clutch. If you're a big clutch hitter, I think that should take away, some stats that you might not, be great at. And I think he was a really big clutch hitter, especially in the playoffs. And, a guy you didn't want to see come, bottom 9, especially. I think he definitely deserved it.
How do people justify it? Like Frank Isola, Daily News said, ESPN said something like, "Look, if you voted for Ortiz, why didn't you vote for Clemens? Why didn't you vote for Schilling? Why didn't you vote, for Bonds?" What are your thoughts on that? Being a former player.
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. It's really didn't make sense to me.
Would you vote for those guys? Would you vote for Clemens and Bonds and those guys being a former player? You would?
I would. You tell me this, 2010, probably not. But now, changing in the times, the more I think about it, two things coming to my mind. The times have changed. It's changing. And it's
how so?
It's really,
how have they changed in your mind?
Well,
that you would vote for?
I just think, coming up now, for one, off track, pitching's getting better, hitting's getting better. And you see how hard it really was. Honestly, the steroid era was big time, but we move on. And I think that's the way the world is now. Like, you have to kind of move on a little bit and understand, you don't forget what they did. You don't forget it was not a good idea, as a person, as people. I think they're great people. They made huge mistakes, and, I'll never forget about that. But the numbers they put up are, astronomical. It was just crazy. You think about it. And, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, like the numbers these guys put up, and Clemens as pitchers, it was just unbelievable. And then you got people that say, well, they cheated. Well, yeah, of course. But still, it helped baseball a lot, and is it right to say, is it wrong to say? I don't know. But for me, my other instance would be, listen, are these guys people that you would pay to play a baseball game? Like, if you sat down and said, hey, son, I'm taking you to watch Roger Clemens play. Like, are you excited about that or not? I'm taking you to watch Barry Bonds. I'm juiced up. Like, if you're not fired up to watch the greatest hitters to ever play the game and greatest pitchers, yeah, they made mistakes, but at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie.
See, did you ever get tempted? Did you have to make a decision about taking steroids?
That's a great question. I never did. Never once. I never had, I've heard conversations of people talking, but, for me, nobody's ever said, you need to take these, or, I got these, you should try these. That's never happened once. And I'm glad, because, I don't think I would have done it, but at the same time, you never know. It's just one of those deals where my raw power was taking over for everything. So I don't even think I needed it, to be honest with you. No cockiness. Not trying to be cocky, but
yes, you are.
It never crossed my mind to take them.
I had a friend. I don't know if you know Tim Belcher. Did you ever meet Tim?
I think I've met Tim. Yes, I do. I know him.
Yeah. So Tim's a friend of mine, longtime friend of mine, and he pitched in the steroids era. And he told me this. He goes, look, people are nuts if they don't think it would help pitchers. Like, he didn't do it, but he's like, you're insane if you don't think this would help pitchers. Of course it would help pitchers.
Yeah. Without a doubt. Like, for me, like, if there was like a pill that would just give me like energy, I don't even want the power. I just want full energy. Like, everybody drinks these Red Bulls. I used to drink Red Bull in AAA, and I got these massive tension headaches. And I said, I can never drink one of these again, because it make me feel like shit the whole rest of the day. But if there was back in the day, they used to use those greenies, man. Those things were unbelievable, they said. So I missed that era. I think I should have went back in that era and played, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I've never had it. So it's like, what do you feel when you're on steroids? What do you feel when you're off? Like, what's the difference? So it's something that, I guess you got to look into, but I think it has to change. Will it change? No, but I think the voting has to change for sure.
I think the next guy, don't you think the next guy to be frozen out is A-Rod?
Yeah, I mean, he only had 34% of the votes, I read. That's, whew. I mean, I like all these guys, but if you don't put the best hitter ever, one of the best hitters ever played a game, one of the best pitchers, or the pitcher with most Cy Young awards, and I'm thinking about Pete Rose. I mean, listen, the guy did his time. Like, come on, dude, the best. He's got the most hits ever in baseball. Like, what is going on here in this world here? Like, you got three of the best players that'll never get the accolades they deserve, but it's tough because I hear the other side too, because I was there too. I'm like, these guys should never be in it. I had conversations with people, but now it's like, as you get older, I guess you appreciate what they did more, but how do you know what it's tough, but I do think they deserve to be on there.
I've never smoked weed or I've never done any drugs, but my wife always says, you'll take anything. Like, I would have taken the greenies. I don't know if I would have taken steroids, but if you're going to tell me that I'm going to be alert on a back-to-back like you guys play on a 10-day road trip where I'm playing, 10 days, I'm taking that. I don't give a shit what you think of me. I'll figure it out 20 years down the road.
Listen, you'll be up all night. You take the greenies, you'll be up all night. You'll be partying. The wifey wouldn't like that, man. You'll be partying all night.
I know, but I always ask on my show, man, if any of you salesmen driving around have legal steroids, stop in my office. I'll take whatever.
Hey,
I'm afraid.
Legal, right? Yeah,
legal. Yeah, I'm not taking. Yeah. I've never taken anything illegal. Should the players have their own vote for the Hall of Fame?
I think so, but then you think about like which players should vote, or do you just go back to the era that the players played in and go from the majority there? Like how would you do that? It's something that you'd have to really sit down and figure out what to do. But I think that's the only logical way. I mean, who else would vote besides writers? I really don't know. Do you have anything in mind? I'm trying to think.
No, I don't. I think, you can't put it to fans. I mean, if it's fans and they're going to vote for their favorite, I think however many writers you have, there should be however many players you have. And they have to, you kind of got to vet people. Like, you'd probably be a perfect guy to vote for the Hall of Fame because you have thought about it. You have played. You're very respected. And you've thought about it enough that you're not blockheaded into one direction. You know what I'm saying with that?
No. Well, like another thing I just thought, you have the Hall of Famers vote the guys in. Like they see numbers, they watch the games. Like that could be another distinction of doing it. I don't know. I don't know.
When you were a player, did you ever think of the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, Rutgers Hall of Fame for sure.
You're in it. Eddie and I took a picture right next to you. You're in that.
Oh man, that was great. No, I mean, yeah, why not? I thought about it. I mean, did I ever think I'd get there? Did everything get there? I mean, I thought there was a chance, all of a sudden I have a couple good years and next thing you know, boom, I'm just taking off. Yeah, why not? I mean, if you want to be a Bear, be a Grizzly, bro. You got to think big. You got to have confidence in yourself. You got to want to go out there and get every accolade you can get and be a team guy at the same time. Why not? Why not get the fruits and the vegetables at the same time? You know what I mean? Let's go.
See, I was, you might be the only guy, and I know a number of guys that would actually admit that. Most dudes would say, no, I just wanted to help my team. And you're the ultimate team guy. Like when I talk to everybody in Major League Baseball likes you. Hell, Lauren's roommate loves you. She works for MLB. But you're the only guy that would say, hell yeah, I thought about it. And you should.
I mean, why wouldn't you? I just don't understand why you would lie to yourself and not want everything you can get out of any job you do. Like if you're you work in an office, like, don't you want all the perks of your job? Like, come on, like when you do the team stuff, my dad always taught me, when you work on team stuff, all the individual stuff will take care of itself. And 9 out of 10 times he was right. Like, listen, you got to shoot for the stars, baby. Let's go.
See, I every year that this media group comes out with the best radio shows in the country, and for the last 5 years, I've been number one in my group in mid major. And I swear to God, I act like I don't give a shit. But I'll tell you what, when I know they're coming out, I'm up at about 5 a.m. checking Twitter to see if I won.
Listen, you got the newspapers, you got the apps, you got it all, man. Let's go. Why not?
It's exactly right. All right. I'm going to give you some guys that I think, give me your guys that should be in a Hall of Fame that aren't in a Hall of Fame. I don't care what sport.
All right. Well, I thought about this actually. So I'm going to start off in football. I'm going to go with Indiana boy, or I don't know if he's from Indiana. He played for the Colts. Edgerrin James, man. I think
he's in.
He's in. All right, good.
He just got in. He's from Miami. He just got in. He got in this year.
I take that back.
Year.
All right. I'm going with basketball then. I'm going with two guys. Sean Kemp, did he get in or no?
Not yet, no.
I think Sean Kemp should be in. He was a highlight reel. Absolute highlight reel. The dunks he had. I know he didn't win a championship, but
he got there. He got there against Jordan.
Yeah, and that wasn't going to happen. But
I know,
listen,
I
love. Hey, it's one of those things where I just told you before. I would pay the cost of admission to go watch him play. That's one guy. And now I'm gonna go a little sidetrack. I think maybe you'll respect this one, but I'm going with Detlef Schrempf, baby. Indiana Pacers, baby. Let's go.
Really?
Detlef, let's go. I thought you would like that one. You don't like that?
I do like that one. I'm questioning.
Undercover, kind of smooth as silk. You always heard him at the end of the games. I felt like his numbers were there. No,
I'm not saying no. It's your list. I'm a big Detlef Schrempf. His my college roommate, the great Uwe Blop, and him played together in Germany. I got to know him. He's great, man. Yeah.
I'm going to go Sean Kemp.
I didn't see Detlef coming. I recruited Sean Kemp to come to Indiana, but Kentucky paid him a hell of a lot more, and he ended up down there. But anyway.
Hey, well, that one was for you for Indiana. That was for you. So
thank you.
And then Don Mattingly, Donnie Baseball.
Why is he not in?
I don't get it. I don't get it. I forget who said it earlier yesterday or the day before, but they said Don Mattingly is one of the hardest batters he's faced. I forget who said it, but God Almighty, man, he was good, man. He was good.
If players voted, do you think Mattingly'd be in?
100%.
I do too.
100%. Would it be majority? I think it would have to be majority, but I think he would definitely get in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. Who else? I mean, let's be serious. Pete Rose, I wrote down. He's got to be in. He's paid his time. The guy, it's been like 38 years or whatever. I don't know the exact number, but God Almighty, Uncle. That's all I got to say. Uncle, let the guy get in.
Uncle.
Oh man.
And Uncle.
Then who's my last guy I thought about? Oh man, I saw Rafael Furcal. Remember him with the Orioles?
Yes.
One of the smoothest swinging lefty. I mean, that's another steroid guy. But listen,
is Bobby Abreu a Hall of Famer?
Oh man. I love watching Bobby. He's a guy I'd pay admission to, so I'd have to say yes. I mean, and I have a little bias because I used to watch him when I was younger with the Phillies. So that's the toughest part. The bias part's like, all right, well, oh man, you got guys that didn't vote for anybody on their ballots. It's like, how do you have any clout in the world if you're not going to vote for anybody? That's what I don't understand either.
Would players vote Jeff Kent in? Jeff Kent?
Ooh, that's a good one too. I think
a lot of people voted for him.
I think they would. One of the tallest second basemen there was, smooth as silk. I mean, when he swung, it felt like he went A to B. His hands didn't move from here, whether it was an outside pitch or not. Like, I feel like, I think they would vote Jeff Kent in. I would.
I got some people you don't know. First is Reggie Wayne. You remember Reggie Wayne?
Oh, wide receiver. Yes. Oh man, that was Peyton Manning's go-to guy.
Yeah. Hey, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne. Reggie's on the finalist list this year, and Reggie's a great dude, man. The other's my wife. My wife should be in the Softball Hall of Fame. She took frickin' Toledo. She was a first-team All-American. She took Toledo to the College Women's World Series. She's the all-time leading winningest coach at Bowling Green and at Syracuse, and she
Oh.
married all this. That's a Hall of Famer.
Listen, you know what? You're going to get some points tonight for that. That's a really smart move by you. That's right.
I know.
Let's go.
How
Let's
many
go.
Hall of Fames are you in?
Let me see. Little League, high school, college. I say, no, New Jersey Hall of Fame. I think four of them.
Yeah. You know the name
about-
Lloyd McClendon?
Oh, Big Lloyd, baby. I know Lloyd. He was a Little
Do
League
you?
hero too.
Lloyd McClendon's from my neighborhood. 5
That's-
straight home runs in the Little League World. The
he-
Japanese walked him.
He
Taiwanese.
was a beast. He was an absolute beast. I loved him when he threw the first base. All right, bud.
He's
My
a
son's
Hall of
walking.
Famer.
Yes, I agree.
I got my wife. There's an AAU coach in Cincinnati named Mike Price, who has coached more games than any human being alive. He should be in the Hall of Fame. My
Okay.
idol growing up, a guy named Bob Love. You don't remember Butterbean Love. It's before your time.
I love that name.
And then Gene Cady. You remember Gene Cady?
The name is was it
Basketball coach at Purdue. Bad comb over.
Oh, he had that big forehead, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I like him. I liked him. When he got
You
mad, you
would-
don't want to look at his face. He's scared. He's
No.
scared.
Yeah,
No.
he's the nicest human. He is the meanest looking, nicest human being I know. Who's the meanest looking, nicest human being you know? Meanest
Oh.
looking, but nicest.
Meanest looking, but nicest.
Yeah.
God, I'm drawing a blank. He was the head coach at Cincinnati. Now he's at UCLA.
Mick Cronin?
Mick Cronin, bro. Oh, he was the best, dude. Hey, but he could get nasty on the court, though. I love Mick. Love him.
Mick looks like the mafia don walking around the casino.
That's why I love him. That's why I love him, because he gave me a lot of love in Cincinnati, man. I gave him respect back, and I would love to have him coach me in any. I just want him to come to New Jersey and coach my kid in every sport, and I would just sit back and enjoy the show. I think it would be great.
He had a big win last night, big boy. He had a huge one over Arizona.
Oh, you didn't tell me about that one. That's not right. Let's go.
I did all right last night, except for freaking Izzo. Izzo's killing us.
Oh,
He's
man. I need a Michigan State shirt to wear next time here, man. I love Izzo, but God almighty.
I'm gonna have him send you a shirt. And we're gonna write stuff on the back like "Eat my sausage." Eat my sausages.
Oh, that's great.
I gotta let you go, man. The show's over. This has been awesome. We gotta do it again.
Always. Thanks, man.
brother.
Nice pleasure.
That's my pleasure. That's the Todd Father, ladies and gentlemen. Telling you, he's the best. Everybody loves the Todd Father, and you should. Funniest dude to text with. When him and Benetti get texted, I just stay out of it and laugh. Hey, thanks to Allison Williams. Thanks to everybody on this show. It's been an absolute blast. Special thanks, obviously, to the Todd Father, to Moulton, to Jacob, to Ryan, and of course, Lauren, who tonight will be sweating it out as the Pirates of Seton Hall take on somebody, I forget, but I'm betting against the Marquette. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Check me out noon to 3 at 1075thefan.com.